don't believe anything I say. Really and truly, don't believe anything I say. Instead, discover what I'm pointing to. Find that place within you for yourself. You know, at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter how many teachings of gurus or enlightened masters you study. It doesn't matter how many retreats you go on. It doesn't matter how flexible you are when it comes to hatha yoga, or how many mantras you can recite, or how many quotes you can speak about from masters such as Ramana Maharshi or Eckhart Tolle or other enlightened teachers. It doesn't say a lot, actually, because at the end of the day, you can be a very smart spiritual parrot that is able to quote teachings, the teachings of Advaita, non-duality, or, you know, whatever term you want to give to one's authentic and true nature. You can do that for the whole of your life and never really get anywhere, because you're constantly looking outside yourself and you are leaning into secondhand knowledge rather than speaking from your own direct seeing and perceiving and recognition, which actually is a lot easier than we tend to think when we first start out on a seeking journey or a path or any sort of orientation towards trying to find the truth of one's authentic nature. And really and truly, the simplest way to start seeing and perceiving what is already here and has already been here is to lean into and start listening to the silence within your own being, trusting your intuitive knowing, and kind of have your antenna up when it comes to paying attention in your life to what is happening and what is unfolding, and where you get pulled off center, and where you doubt yourself. So all of that is really about being willing to rest in your inner space, especially in the space of your own clear seeing and your own knowing, rather than looking outside yourself all the time for validation. And of course, you know, I'm not disputing the value of being on a spiritual path or a seeking path. It does have great value, because, you know, via that and via teachings, we come to learn the practices, we start paying attention, we learn how to meditate and do prayer work or energy work with respect to the shadow and all of those things. But at a certain point, we realize that we're hearing the same things again and again and again and again and again. It's just dressed differently or spoken about differently from whoever's, you know, mouth it's coming out of. And essentially, any teacher or any guru is just here to point you back to the recognition of your own higher self, which is prior to your story and prior to your beliefs and prior to anything that you have taken as being your identification. And of course, that also relates to any spiritual teachings you've picked up along the way and you've stuffed into a sort of your spiritual grab bag and you're carrying around with you. All of that has to be put down, all those beliefs and ideas and everything to do with your authentic nature, because it really has to be discovered and it has to be experienced. You know, and again, I use the word experience, but by its very nature, an experience has a beginning, a middle, and an end. But I'm not sure how else to put it. But you know, it's initially through this direct seeing, this experience of direct seeing. But then what happens is this seeing doesn't come and go. It's as if the self wakes up to itself, is I guess one way of putting it. Or seeing sees the seeing, and or absolute awareness becomes aware of itself, so to speak. But you know, it doesn't matter how you phrase it or how you put it. You have to be the one that discovers this for yourself, rather than just imbibing what other people are saying about it or what other teachers are saying about it. And the other part of that too is sometimes, you know, excessively reading the self-recognition or self-realization stories of great beings doesn't help if you think you have to form yourself into some weird shape to try and create a situation where you have a similar or the same kind of experience, because of course that never works. You know, because, for example, Ramana Maharshi meditated for 5 hours a day, you should do the same thing. And I'm not saying he did, but I'm just saying, you know, that's what happens. And especially with the Western mindset, we're so oriented towards, you know, doing something to get an outcome and being transactional about everything. Well, if I meditate for another 2 hours a day instead of 1 hour a day, I'll get to where I want to be. And the reality is none of that is necessary, because your own higher self, who you are as the self, is already here prior to any of these ideas or beliefs about what you have to do to get there, wherever there is, because of course there's no such thing as there. You are already here in this place from which your own seeing arises, and your own capacity and ability to recognize truth is available to you. So I just wanted to share that this evening. Don't believe a word I say, or you don't have to believe anything I say, because you have to discover this for yourself. And you also have to come to a point where you stop telling yourself it's going to take lifetimes to realize the self. It's kind of like saying it's going to take lifetimes for me to actually be authentic or be real or be true to what I know feels like the right thing. Or another way of putting it, it's going to take me lifetimes to believe when an intuitive message lands in me that it's authentic. Because, you know, we feel those things, and we know that it's important, and it has integrity because we really feel it. So I wanted to spend a few minutes hopping on this evening and encouraging you to see what is already here. You know, you don't have to go on some long journey of discovery or go off to a cave in the Himalayas or anything. Just pay attention. Just see and feel and perceive. Just pay attention to what feels right for you, and begin to notice and recognize if there's a pulsation within you when someone is speaking truth. See if you can feel this transmission, this recognition in the words of others, and find that place within yourself and recognize that that feeling, that pulsation, is already the self realizing itself. So all of that said, I'm here for you. If you would like to ask questions, feel free to do so below, and I'll respond as soon as I can. And as I've said many times, I have books available on Amazon that I wrote specifically for seekers who felt like they needed a little bit of support. You know, I was a seeker for 30 some years, and I don't want to say it was unnecessary, but it could have been made a lot shorter, I think, if I'd had someone who could have pointed to what I'm speaking to now, that the truth of the oneself is here prior to anyone's story, and this is the truth of one's being. So, and you can find me on juliehall.org and also on here. So take it easy, be well, and that's all from me this evening. Bye.